How are you guys doing today? Good? Good. Well, it's really nice to see you all again. And then also tomorrow, I'm very excited to talk about this phonics books that we have because, well, before actually, I'm not that generation neither. When I started to learn a language, I didn't start English with the phonics methodology, with the thick grammar book and then extra like you guys. So for our generation, most the teachers' generation, this is quite new methodology. And then sometimes it's very hard to adapt in a language lessons with especially the minis. So through this workshop, I hope you can have a better idea about phonics it is, and then also the teaching phonics methodology. So let's get going. Well, these are today's agenda. So we're going to talk about phonics in general. And then after that, yes, you are the most brave ones in the school, right? You are dealing with the minis. I like to call them pre-human beings. So they're still developing like the, the adaptation to be able to do in the school and also the human itself too. So it's really hard for them to get focused, especially in distance learning. So we're going to talk about the class organization for them. And then in order to do that, you choose the book, which is Common Phonics. So I'm going to explain why Common Phonics is very like useful when it comes to distance learning with the minis. And then after that, I'm going to go over one unit of Common Phonics, and then we are going to think about the activities with the minis and then how we can make it more approachable for those age groups. Let's get going. Yeah, when we talk about phonics, we often think it's just a letter and then sound relationship. So whenever I do the teacher trainings, if I start the seminar with what is phonics, and then open teachers goes like k, eh, cat, right? We are quite familiar with that method. And then the thing is that letter sound relationship, yes, that's a part of phonics, but through those, students are going to learn how to read. And then not just read, read for the meanings too. So those are very basic foundation for students. And through this phonics methodology, students gain some knowledge, some capability to understand how to write and how to listen and how to speak as well. That's why if I traveling around the world to promote the books, now much more countries, they're aware of phonics when they start to teach English. So we're gonna go into that. So if you look at phonics, yes, you are all aware of this sound and then individual letter relationship. Phoneme is a sound, and then grapheme is matching like graphic over there. So even though there's a one sound, there's a more letter, right? Here, I'm gonna look into C, but k sound, we can think of K and also CH too. So our students need to be aware of those sound and then letter. Oh, some different letter matching with this sound, and then they blend together like this, right? So crown, it's the word and the meaning over here. But if you listen to the sound, k, l, a, n, right? So four phonemes goes to this. So it's very interesting because, well, for Korean students, actually, we developed a whole new system within ourselves because Korean letters are not something like this, like alphabets. But if I look at Spanish speakers, they get confused a lot because vowel sound and then also alphabet names and also alphabet sound, they're all different from they already know. So now I'm learning Spanish a bit. So before when I go to Starbucks in Mexico City, if they ask me how to spell my name, I always go J-I. But I saw a little like frustration on their eyes, Starbucks workers over there. But now I can say Hota-I, right? So in that case, I learned the letter. And then also now I understand G is not G in Espanol speaking countries. It's a he mostly. So through those elements, if you think in that way, you could understand your students. They get confused with those kind of elements. And let's look at this. So there's a reason why we need to teach phonics. And then there's a clear purpose why we need to teach phonics too. Well, open, we think over here, letter sound, relations, and then decoding. That's kind of the way we think about phonics purpose. But the thing is, through this letter sound combination and then decoding capacity, on top of that, they need to learn about these sight words, which is totally outside of the phonics rules. So with these all together, they get to understand the sentence meaning, and then they are able to decode this sentence. After that, they're gonna read fluently. But this fluently doesn't mean just saying out loud, but they need to understand the meaning out of it. After that, they're going to go to this literacy stage. So even though we drag our minis from this minor step, sound, letter, relationship, and then blending and decoding, but we need to keep this in mind. At the end of this road, we want our students to read fluently and then comprehend the meaning out of it. So when we teach phonics, it's a beginning step, but still we need to think about essential components of literacy development. That's the key for teachers to keep that in mind. So to be able to do that, these are the phonics knowledges for our students should gain through phonics, the teaching over here. So word recognition. Through these phonics rules within them, whenever they tackle the unknown words, they'll be able to try. And then they need to have those like comfort system within him. And then they apply that to decode something. Through this capacity, they'll be develop their accuracies and fluencies. And then through this one, they're gonna gain this comprehension too. The thing is, I like to give this examples when I do the seminars in person. So, well, accuracy is important and fluency. Sometimes our students take too much time to read fluently. For example, I go to school, right? So even though they read a sentence, I go to school, it's really hard for them to gain the meaning out of the sentence. And then accuracy too. If they tend to focus on those like Spanish, like speaking rules, phonics rules, then I go to school, then they're not gonna understand go to vamos, right? So that's very important for your students to understand this meaning gaining, which is comprehension. So let's get going. Then, well, to be able to, for our students to be able to gain those whole literacy elements, well, the first, I always want to stress out, remember, they just start the long journey to learn a language. I understand that most of the English teachers, they're quite fluent and then they're like C1 level. So they sometimes they forget when they start their language lessons. So in that case, they just start a long journey to be able to read, write, and listen and speak. So the most important thing, motivating them, and then giving them a chance to feel some kind of confidence when it comes to language learning. That's very important. So when you teach minis, these are the things that I always stress out. First, easy, fun, active. So do you remember those worksheet with the cat with the at to bad picture with the B at T? So those kind of exercise, yes, it could be useful when you wrap up the lessons or when you do some quick check with your students. But if you drill them phonics lesson in that way, for your students' mind, they don't think it's very like approachable kind of area that they can tackle, right? So make sure that don't drag them too much with lots of like exercise and too much writing or too higher than their level. So, and then fun is important. As I mentioned, yes, language is not progressing in this way. You need to put lots of effort and then also time, and then sometimes we call it money. And then you progress a bit and then plateau for a while, and then going up, plateau for a while too. So in this case, it's important for them to be very staying there, right? So to for them to be able to do that, you always think about, yes, these are minis. They just start a long journey. So I'm gonna just combine the activity, which is easy, fun, and also active. Make them think out loud and then also think outside of the box with just a piece of paper. They get bored. They're just like the the small human beings. So you need to think about that aspect and then also step-by-step progress. Those are the things we often overlooked because usually kindergartners and then pre-Ks, those age group, our parents put the most hope and the most investment out on our kids when it comes to English education. So they want to finish these thick books or they want them to write lots of words or letters, you can name it. But kids, they don't learn in that way. So when you provide the word or sound, try to do it in a gradual way. So don't overwhelm them with like 6 words at a time or 1 word and then one sound and then 3 words at a time. So one by one, and then when they get used to it, then you can expand a little bit of a vocabulary and then sound inputs as well. So now Now you have a little bit idea about phonics and then phonics teaching. Now we're gonna talk about distance learning for minis. Well, if you look at backside of me over here, we try to create something that is very like class look like. But I understand that, well, I already mentioned from the previous workshop that we didn't have enough time to be out of classroom. Well, with Korea, we even didn't start the school at all. Now we are doing more from kindergarten through like university, we are doing all online classes. And then, well, probably May, middle of May, the seniors in junior high school and then seniors in high school, they might be able to go back to the classroom. And then I was told that Mexico or Central South America, you guys have the same situation. So probably you're not, you don't have the materials to decorate the corner for yourself, but it's okay. Just find a blank, just not too distracted kind of area. Then you can make them focus on yourself, not the books or TVs outside of in this screen. And when you plan distance learning classroom for minis, well, I first thing that I can recommend is keep your class routine. It could be class song when you start the class, hello song, hi song, or if you hug your students whenever they enter the classroom, then you can do the cyber hug with your students or high five, anything that you have in your classroom routine. And by doing that, you can change their mindset to be in the classroom a little bit. And most kindergarten, they do start the class with the month, date, or time, week of the day. You can definitely incorporate that elements when you start the classroom. And then second thing I want to say is you can try to involve your parents. I understand that they're not able to, some of them are not able to prepare the materials that they need for the class. So today's book, which is a Common Phonics, has a little flashcard for our students to use at the end of the book. So in this case, if you want to utilize your class time in a very effective way, you can ask the parents to cut in advance and then place them in front of your students before the classroom. That would be very optimal. But I understand that some of the parents, they're not able to do it, then it's okay. In that case, you can just start the lesson by preparing this little card with your students. And third thing, it's very important, which is the be clear with your class role. Well, if we are in the classroom, yes, kids come to you and then they ask the question, they want to drink some water, they want to go to the bathroom, and then some of them, they just laying down on the desk, they don't want to do the work, right? In that case, you can walk around the classroom, you can make them be aware that you are watching and then you don't like what they're doing. You can definitely do that. But the thing is, in this cyberspace, we can do that. So when you want them to do the activities, be clear with this little screen. So for example, if you want them to listen very carefully, then play like a game. Freeze, monkey ear, right? And then freeze, look. Freeze, say the word, right? You can definitely incorporate those kind of elements. And also make sure that if when one of your students are volunteering or participating in the activities, then rest of your students, they need to do this motion. And then one student, they need to say that out loud. And also when you do this class rule like reinforcement, you can use this little props that I have. I know that if you don't have this fancy pointers, that then you can use your fingers, right? So you can do it. And first thing is TPR and visual aid. Well, language teachers are very like struggling usually if they don't have much experience in this online classroom setting. The reason why they're struggling, and it's very clear, we all know our students, they need to have us in front of them to do the motions and then to do the scaffold for them to be able to understand the word meaning, or for them to understand what's going on over here. But over here, we can do our best with this little screen, like doing TPR and visual aid. Sometimes you can have like the TPR, like the visual aid, which is a real picture or real like stuff from around yourself, those kind of thing. You can use that definitely. And also TPR means you can be very creative with these fingers and then over here. So if you want them to do certain motions, when they say the word, they can touch their head or they can pull their ears, they can point their nose, and then they can touch their shoulders and then extra. You can incorporate this little TPR exercise when you do activities with your students. And encouragement and reward is very important. It's the same as you're in the classroom. When they do good, then you can use this little like whiteboard, write down their name and then give them some stars. Or whenever they volunteer something, you can give them a stars. If they're doing a great job, then you can give them a stars. And then it's very visualized for them. So it's back there. So they can see, I'm doing and then I'm getting a stars. Kind of that reinforcement is positive reinforcement is very important. And in this case, okay, so in this case, so these are the things that when you develop the distance learning class for the minis, those are the things that you need to keep that in mind. And then in order to do that, you can think about some props that I just show you. So whenever I teach the minis, I like to use this little puppet. Or if you have any stuffed animals in your house, your son, daughters, then you can borrow them a bit and then use this a bit. So when you give them a direction, you can hide a bit and then just show this one. And then you can get their attention just for 10 seconds, I think. And flashcard would be very good, but don't worry, I'm gonna explain that later, but Common Phonics provide the individual like flashcard that would be very useful too. And also pointer that I show you, or your fingers, and this whiteboard, and maps and extra. As I stressed out before, if you don't have this fancy card, don't worry about it. Just find a really quiet corner and then you can definitely get your students' attention with your class. So now let's get going. Now we are gonna jump into Common Phonics lessons over here. So distance learning with the Common Phonics, it's very useful because it has lots of good materials comes with. So if you look at this, okay. So this is one of the classroom PPT that we provide. So all the flashcard and then activities, they're embedded. So you can use this class like PPT to lead your students to learn. And then this is interactive whiteboard material. So all the lessons and within that, so sound and then also song and chant, everything is there. And then flashcard and then readers, workbook. So you can choose either one of them if you want to do it, or with class PPT or interactive whiteboard material. Certain teachers, they prepare class PPT because they're not sure if they have a whiteboard projector, and then they are worrying about the computer connection. In that case, class PPT is very useful for the teachers. And then interactive whiteboard material, certain teachers, they prefer that one because many publishers, they provide this interactive whiteboard material. So they are quite familiar with these elements. And if you look at the back side of this book, as I mentioned before, during the introduction, each of the students, they have this little flashcard to play with. So it gives you lots of flexibility when you think about activities that you want to do with your students. So these are the very useful materials that you can use your students. And also at the end of the unit, we provide the game format review, which is quite interesting to me. Because if you're very like diligent teachers, you think about lots of game wrap up and then Google the games for phonics or alphabet and then incorporate them. But it's very hard for you to think about individual lesson like game format review. But if you look at Common Phonics, everything is there. So each unit has very interesting game to do. So but at the same time, that's not just a game. They're reviewing sound and then word that they learn, but in a game format. So it's very useful. But we develop these games when we think about the whole class like setting. So we need to think about a little bit of a modification when you incorporate that in this little screen. So now we are gonna go into this book 1, which is alphabet sound, and then we're gonna go into one unit. But before I go in, I wanna mention one thing because whenever I travel the Central South America, whenever I introduce Common Phonics, the most common question that I got was, so do I need to cover all 5? Or what's the leveling? This is the grade. Those kind of comments that I got a lot. But whenever I talk to the teacher, I kind of understand what you need because, well, this doesn't mean the grade at all. So if you think your kindergartner, like upper grade of the kindergartner, they need to start from alphabet sound, yes, yet you can start from book 1 through book 2 and 3, and you can go do some course book materials. Or you can go up till maximum, I would say grade 2, no more than that. In that case, you can incorporate some reading materials or course book along with it. And for Spanish speakers, what I can recommend, short vowel, long vowels are very important because vowel system is quite different from Spanish, like Espanol system. So for them, it's really nice way to wrap up. Oh, it's a little different from my mother tongue. And then whenever I'm in English class, I can use this method to read the sentence. Those are really nice way to start a language for your students. So I'm gonna go with this book 1, unit 4. We're gonna focus on these 3 letters and 3 sound. Z, k, l, right? And I'm going to go through with class PPT because interactive whiteboard materials, teachers are quite familiar with, but sometimes this class PPT, they just look through and then sometimes they have a little hard time to scaffold a bit. So I'm going to go over this one by one and then think about the activities that we can apply in this online class setting. So we're gonna go over 7 parts: an introduction of sound, letter, and word, and then trace and say, song and chant, listen and check, and then say and circle, listen and write, review with the games. I know that it seems a lot, but since this is for minis, the length is not gonna be wrong, so don't worry about it too much. So first, introduction of sound and letter and words. And this part, what I can suggest is take your time. Well, some of your students are familiar with alphabet name, and then they tend to say that out loud when they see that alphabet. But first, yes, it's very good they understand the alphabet, the name, but at the same time, we want to focus on the sound too, and then word extension. So you can build up one by one with your students. So let's get going. So, ooh, what is it? It's J. Okay, so I want to see your finger, and let's write down in the air. J. Good job. And then little J over here. You did a great job. Now we're going to listen to the sound. So are you guys ready? Monkey ear, everybody? Good? Good?
Good. We are ready.
Okay. Z. Z. Okay. Z, right? So now it's your turn to say it. Z. Good job. Now, let's look at the next one. Z and Z. Good. Now, we're going to look at the words that starts with the Z sound. Oh, interesting. What is it? Airplane. Good. Jet. Oh, someone says jet. I think it's very nice word. Let's hear that.
Jet.
Jet. Good, jet. Now it's your turn to say it. Can you say that?
Jet.
Awesome. Now I just do the modeling with the letter J, and then I'm going to go to K. So I'm going to unmute one of you guys. So you have to participate it. Is it okay with you? Good? Okay. So now, what letter is it?
K.
Okay, good job. Now, let's try to write it down in the air. Do, 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 do. Good job. And then little K. Amazing. Now, we are going to listen to the sound. It's okay, but sound? Good job. Now, let's see. Jax, Danielle? What is it?
Can.
Amazing, right? So let's listen to the king.
King.
Good
Can.
job. Now, king.
Can.
King.
Good. You guys are doing a wonderful job. Well, when you do the activities with your students, just unmute one student, and then you can let them listen and repeat after one student. That would be a really nice flow. And if they get used to it at the end of the lesson, you can pair them up, read them up, unmute at a time. If you think they can manage to do it, then definitely you can do it. Okay, let's get going. So let's see. Now, let's look at this letter. What is it? L, right? And then let's listen to the sound.
L.
La.
L.
Le.
La.
Good job.
Le.
Now, I want Peru from Jessica. Let's listen carefully.
L.
And then repeat after that.
L.
Good job, Jessica. Now, let's look at this. What is it?
Lion.
Lion.
Lion. Good job, Jessica. Can you say that out loud?
Lion.
Good. Now, everyone, let's listen. Monkey ears, everyone. Can I see everyone? Let's see. Lucero, you're not doing it. Do it properly.
Lion.
Right. Good.
Lion.
Now, listen carefully.
Lion.
Good job. Now it's your turn to say it.
Lion.
Lion.
Good job, everyone. Well, you can lead your
Lion.
students that way. And in that case, yes, and then they already have a card in front of it. So when you want to reinforce further for them to be familiar with the word meaning and then letter, you can let them hold the letter card while they are saying it, and then flip the card to match with the word that match with that's the example of the letter and then sound. Good job, everyone. Now, trace and say. This is the writing exercise. I'm gonna drink some water. This is the writing exercise too. But when we think about writing, we often focus on those filling in the gap exercise. But when I was a teacher in the Bronx in New York City, one of the pre-K teachers, she was amazing. And we had 3 pre-K classroom, but when you get them in kindergarten, well, just the students from that class, they all know how to write, how to listen, how to read, and how to speak. So I was very curious about her method to teach those literacy elements for pre-K students. So I observed some of the classroom. One thing that was very impressed for me was she didn't use much of the writing paper and then pencil filling in the gap exercise. Well, they use the letters in the air a lot, and also they use each other's back. So pair work, that means one student, they turn around and then they write the letter. And sometimes she used a lot of scented markers for certain vowels. So whenever they smell the marker, they think about, oh, that's a magic E at the end, something like that. So she incorporates those elements a lot. So when you do this kind of exercise, yes, at the end, they need to practice on the paper, but before they get into it, you can utilize these like activities with your students. So they can do writing in the air, and then writing in their forehead or their palms and then their hands, you can name it. So you can definitely do that with your students. So let's look at the first one. So trace and say. Now we all know this is letter J, but I want you to say the sound. Is that clear? Good. Now first, we are going to write down the letter first. Everyone is ready?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Now, do 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 do. I finished the big letter J. How about you guys? I'm looking at you. Are you guys doing it? Good. Now, little small J over here. Good job. You did a great job. Now, it's time to listen to the sound.
Z.
Z. Z. Good. Now, let's say it out loud. Z. Z.
D. D.
Good. Let's see. Mariana, can you say that again? And then rest of you guys, what are you supposed to do? Monkey ears, right? Mariana Espinoza. Good. Probably she's having a hard time with the audio, right? So, Z. Good job. So,
Z.
let's get going. And then, oh, now we know how to write this letter K. Do you miss my big, fat, yellow finger, right? Let's see. You guys are doing a great job. And then small K too. Amazing. Amazing. Now, let's listen to the sound. Now, okay, let's see. Arma, can you say that out loud? Good. Okay. Good job. Good job. So you guys are doing a great job. Now, let's look at this one. L. Let's do it.
L.
L. Are you guys doing right?
L.
Good. Good. Now, let's listen to the sound.
L.
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 L. Good. Well, when I observe the phonics classroom, well, certain teachers, they tend to focus more on these alphabet names, but the main reason we want them to learn is this sound, right? So yes, it's okay to introduce the letter's name, but at the same time, stress enough of the sound. So they need to be able to distinguish the letter with the sound too. Okay, good. Now let's get going. And song and chant. Well, I know that Central South America teachers, they love to use song and chant. Well, so when it comes to song and chant, I'm a big fan of move your body around the kind of like teacher trainer. Even though I'm a horrible dancer, I know that you guys can manage it. So when you do this song and chant, instead of just make them move their body on their own, you can give them some rules. So now what we are going to do is, if you listen to any sound that is, sorry, z, z, then I want you to touch your head. Is that clear? Not too hard. Just gently touch your head. And then if you hear the sound, then I want you to punch your ears like this, right? And then when you hear L sound, shoulder. Are you guys ready? Yes? Okay, so now let's get going.
J, 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 jet, juice, J, jet, juice, J, jet, jacket, J, jet, jacket, J, jet, juice, jacket, J, jet, juice, jacket. K, 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 king, koala, king, koala, king, kite, king, kite, king, koala, kite, king, koala, kite. L, L, L,
L,
L,
L,
L,
L,
L, lion, leg,
L,
lion, leg, lion, lemon, lion, lemon, lion, leg, lemon, lion, leg, lemon.
You did a great job. Well, in this case, you want them to be aware of the sound that they learn. And if you want them to match with the letters, you can definitely play with this letter card that they have in their hands. So when they hear L sound, they can pick up this, or when they get used to it, you can divide them into a team. So lion, leg, lemon. So they can find their own card, and then whenever they hear the sound and then word, and then they can wave this card like that. So it depends on what area you want them to focus on. So if you want them to focus on the letter and then remember that with the motions, then you can be consistent with the motion that I had throughout the units. So that could be very effective, especially you have very limited space in front of you with your students. So you want them to focus on what they're doing. So incorporate those little movements will help them remember. Okay, so let's get going. Now we're gonna go into listen and check. So this is the listening activities, but they listen to the same, the two letters, two words, and then think about, do they have the same beginning sound? Do I hear the same beginning sound? So do model first and then make them volunteer, make them participate second and third one. So let's look at the first one together. Now I'm going to play the audio. So now what are you supposed to do? Monkey ears, everyone. Good. Now after that, listen to words and then think about the beginning sound. Do they have the same beginning sound? Then yes. I don't think they have the same beginning sound. Then show me the big X and then say no. Is it clear? So let's do the first one together. Ready to listen, everyone?
Run.
Good.
L, leg. J, jet.
L, leg. Z, jet. Same or no? Okay, let's see. Oh, great job, everyone. Now, let's look at the second one. Let's listen to the second one. Let's see, is there anyone who want to volunteer? Oops.
Run.
Sorry.
L, leg. J,
Okay.
jet.
Now, second one. Is there anyone? Ale Delgado from Mexico? Can you do it? Good. Okay. So let's listen carefully.
2.
Koala. L, lemon.
Koala. Lemon. Ale, can you participate it? Probably audio problem, right? So let's see. Is that or X? Right. It's different. Now let's look at the third one. Ready? Okay, go.
3.
King. Kite.
Ooh, interesting. King. Kite, right? So what is your answer, everyone? Okay, let's see.
2. 3.
Koala.
I have a little problem with
Lemon.
this remote control that I have. I'm so sorry about that. So this is the flow that you can do. Well, I did a little expansion by showing the pictures, right? So sometimes you have similar level of students in your classroom, but sometimes it's not possible to have it's all if they are all the same page, right? So some of your students are very good at picking up the sound and then think about the words and then extra. But certain students, they need a little help. So by doing this little card showing, you can embrace the lower level of students in your classroom too. Okay, so now the second one, listen and check. Now, what we are going to do, we are going to listen to the two words. And then after that, think about the beginning sound and then choose the right word. Oh, I think our friend need to say something. Are you guys ready? Good, good, good. And show your thumb if you are ready. Good. Now, you know what to do. Monkey ears. Good. So this is a little like, I'm a little embarrassed, but you can do this little instruction with the little puppet or any stuffed animal that you have. Then in the middle of a classroom, if you're losing your students' attention, you can definitely kind of lead your students to finish the work within the time. So are you guys ready?
Koala.
Koala.
King.
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 Good job. So let's think about the word. Do you hear, did you hear the beginning sound L?
No.
No.
No, right?
No.
Then what about Z?
No.
No.
No, right? Good job, everyone. Then, is that right? Oops, sorry. Where is my case? Here. Is that right?
Yes.
Right? So can you find the letter over there? Is that one?
Yes.
Is this
Yes.
the one?
Yes.
Or this is the one? Okay, good
That one.
job. You did a great job. Now let's look at the next one. Are you ready to listen?
Yes.
Lion. Leg.
Did you hear the beginning sound Z?
No.
No.
No, right? Good job, guys. Then what about cake?
No.
Probably not, right?
No.
Then
Yes.
Yes.
L.
That's right.
good job, everyone. Well,
Yes.
I lead my students, but what you can do, first, listen to the sound, look at the picture, show lion first, and then leg, and then beginning sound. You can expand this activity with this little card as much as you can. Well, I understand first, it's gonna take some time for them to pick or like mumble and then one by one. In that case, you can assign one student at a time. And once they get used to playing with this card and then understand your instruction, then you can definitely cooperate as a whole class activity. So I'm not sure if you're using a Zoom in your classroom, but the great thing is you can see everyone's face and then you can check if they're doing it right or not from your side over there. So now we all know what you're supposed to do. So now, are you guys ready?
Jacket.
Jacket,
Jacket.
juice, right? So now, let's find the word over here. Good job, everyone. Now, let's get going. Now, next activity is sing and circle. Well, if you look at the activities over here, you understand our effort for them to play with this sound and letter in listening, speaking, writing, and reading format. So in this case, they need to say, but look at the meaning and then word spelling. And also they need to think about the sound too. So this is one of the good examples that for your students to develop with this phonics exercise. So let's listen.
Koala.
Koala, right? Let's find koala over here. Good job, everyone. Can you say that again? Good. Now, let's circle it. Good job, everyone. Now, let's look at the second one. Listen first.
Leg.
Leg, right? Ooh, which one is it? Is it L? No, right? Not the first one. What about second one? No? Then this one, right? Good job, everyone. Now, let's,
Jet.
oops, I just skimmed through it. So you can just do, as I mentioned before, you can skip for these activities as you wish. You can play with the card and then also the letters and then word itself and then sound as you wish. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next activity, which is the listen and write. So in this case, you lead them to look at the words and then listen and think about the beginning sound of it. So first, let's listen carefully over here.
Kite.
So kite is over
The sound.
here, right?
Number
Yeah.
2.
The
Ooh,
sound is K.
is that the first one?
The second one.
A, no, probably. And
The
is
second
that
one.
L? L?
The second
No.
one.
Second one. Good job, everyone. And next one, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Listen.
Yes.
Yes.
Lemon.
Yes.
Lemon. Mhm.
Lemon. Good.
Mhm.
Is that the first one?
No.
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 Second one?
No.
No.
Last one. Good job.
Yes, the last one.
Yellow finger want you to write in the air. Let's practice it. Okay.
Mhm.
Little L2. Good job, everyone. Now, let's look at the next one.
Jacket.
Jacket.
Jacket. The
The
last
first
one?
one. The
No.
last one. No.
Second one?
No.
What about the
first
first
one.
one?
Yes.
Good job, everyone. Let's practice in the air. J and J. Good job, everyone. You guys did a great job. Now, the last activity that we have over here. So, originally, what you can do in this book, you can do the speed game with your students. Turn the card down like that, and then they remember what starts with the letter L. Yes? Lemon? Oh no, then I'm not gonna keep this card. This kind of the game format in the book, but in this setting, it's gonna be too chaotic. So with this say aloud, sometimes I like to time them to say all the words out loud. L, and then, for example, z, juice, z, but your students tend to mumble the words, right? In this case, they need to go back to the first one and then finish it. So you can do that. or you can do the teamwork, or you can do a group work, like one line at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 3 students. I think Gloria Vargas.
Glory.
Can you
It's Glory.
Glory, okay, Glory.
Yes.
Glory, and let's see, Mariana.
Yes.
Yes, good. And then let's see. Is it Danielle who kept participating? No? Or let's see. Let's say Lucero, you 3. So first, Glory, I want you to read the first row, which is, okay, so let's see.
Jet.
So this one, oops,
Jet.
this one, oh, I'm gonna just give you an instruction first, and then we can do the activities. Is that clear, everyone? Good.
Okay.
First, Glory is going to read these 3 cards, but I want you to start with the beginning sound first, and then word. Is that clear? Jet, is that right? No.
Yes.
Jet, right? King, lion, right? I want to hear both sound. Is that clear?
Yes.
Glory is gonna go the first one. Mariana is gonna be the second one. And then Lucero, you are gonna be the 3rd row. Is that clear?
Yes.
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 Glory, ready?
I'm ready.
Everyone, listen. Glory, go.
Jet.
Good. And next one. Glory, you have to finish the first row over here. Here. This one, and this one.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Okay. No, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Now, ready, Glory?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Jet. King. Lion.
Amazing. Good job. And
Thank
then,
you.
Mariana, let's do the second one. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go.
Jet. Good. Koala. Leg.
Amazing. Good job.
Thank you.
And Lucero, are you ready?
Yes, ready.
Okay, let's go.
Jacket. Kite. Lemon.
Amazing. You all did a great job. Well, you can divide the card like this with your students, and sometimes I can do this diagonal kind of thing as you wish. And when they say the word, you can show their spellings too. So it would be a really nice way to incorporate their beginning sound recognition, and then also word meaning. And then sometimes they can read these spellings to finish saying the word. So good job, everyone. Well, I think I wrap up all this like within a certain period of time. So I understand that I couldn't finish all elements of this common phonics. So if you want us to cover any specific elements, you can definitely leave your comment. And also, if you have any questions among my like talks and then my explanation, you can do the Q&A right now. And then one thing that I like to stress out, we never experienced this kind of setting when it comes to language teaching, and then our students too. So they're adapting adapting this new situation, and then also as a teacher we are learning this new situation, and then we are adapting, and then we are gaining our capacity to deal with this, right? So what you're doing is totally fine, and then you're doing your best. And then it's amazing that you always attend this kind of webinar to think about your online classroom. That's one thing that I always give you a hand. And then so don't get frustrated. Even like college students, they need time to adapt to this new setting. So for younger ones, yes, you need more time. So if you cannot finish a certain like amount within the given time, don't get too frustrated. They will catch up eventually. So that's the one thing that I like to stress out. And well, don't forget, we have the last seminar in April, which is tomorrow. So my coworker, Michael's gonna cover that inside link with you. And then we are planning to have more workshop in May. So if you have any specific topics or titles for us to cover, then leave a comments. Then we are more than happy to cover that in May. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And I hope I can see you all in May too. Bye, guys. Have a nice day.